We're going to continue our series of discussions now on Addison's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This time taking a look at groups within the community that have had to change a lot of their standard operating procedures over the last several weeks. Hasn't been too easy for Addison school systems to be able to make this transition, but they've done so, and we have representatives from the administration of both the elementary and high school systems here to tell us a little about how that's been going and give you some very important information. So we are joined once again in the studio by Mayor Rich Veenstra from the Village of Addison, from Addison School District 4, Kim Losey, Assistant Superintendent, and from DuPage High School District 88, Dr. Scott Helton, representing Addison Trail and Willowbrook High School. So welcome to all three of you. As you see, we're practicing our social distancing rules and having our guests in the studio for our discussion today. Mayor Veenstra, let's start off with you and maybe just a little bit of a recap and update as well. Is there any new information, or I should say new modes of getting information that our community might want to take note of and should be avail themselves of right now when it comes to getting information on the COVID-19 pandemic? What's been going on here at the village level?
There certainly is. I mean, this is a very, very dynamic time. The information changes on an hour-to-hour basis, quite frankly. And there are so many different media sources that are providing information. One of the things that we've felt is very, very important is for us to consolidate all that information so our residents get the right information and can act accordingly. So to that, we've been working very diligently with our staff here at the village to coordinate all of the information coming in from the different agencies, from the federal government, from the state governments, and we've put all of that on our addisonadvantage.org website. We've created a new tab that's COVID-19, and that tab, if you click on it, has sub-tabs that have specialty information for business, for seniors, frequently asked questions. Essentially, that should be the go-to place for any questions that you do have about what's restricted, what's closed, what you can do, what you can do to help, what's available in terms of services. So we're encouraging all of our residents to use the addisonadvantage.org as the go-to for information. Additionally, we have a new site for an app for your smartphones, and that's called Addison Connected. And again, that has a drop-down tab in that app that gives you all of the information that is available that we have put together for the residents of our community. It also has information for businesses as far as what's open, what's closed, and what is available in terms of services that we can provide them. So this is the go-to, and again, with the changing information and how dynamic it is, it's very important to have an authoritative spot to go to, and we're encouraging all of our residents to use the addisonadvantage.org.
Now, Mayor, are you continuing to convene your daily intergovernmental telephone calls with the leaders from the community, the various agencies, a couple of whom we're going to be talking to in just a moment? Are you still doing that process of the daily intergovernmental calls?
Yes, definitely we're doing that. That's part of the information gathering process, and it's critical for all of our agencies to understand what's available and how we're working together to address the issues. So that's an ongoing 1 o'clock meeting every day that we have with all of the taxing bodies in our community. Today was something that we were able to recap what we've actually seen over the last week. And I think probably one of the major takeaways that I felt very good about is a lot of our businesses are starting to retool and to be able to provide essential needs. Masks are in shortage. I think if anybody's watched the news, they realize that protection masks are virtually unobtainable, at least they had been. We have one company in Addison that has turned over what they normally do to produce masks. We've got another company that has retooled to produce antiseptic solutions. Another business in town is donating 19,000 frozen food trays for the community. So everybody is, coming together and working together to minimize the impact that we're all feeling right now. So we will continue to have these meetings, get the information, and transmit it to our residents.
It is nice to see that. As you mentioned, a lot of companies have had to kind of change over what their normal operations are. It's almost like a response to American ingenuity. It's like, if we need something, we're going to get out there and get it. So maybe we're going back to a decades-old practice in many respects.
It's the Addison advantage.
It is the Addison advantage, by all means. That's great. Thank you very much, Mayor. Thanks for the update on that. Let's talk to a couple of representatives now from the local school systems, and Kim Losey is Assistant Superintendent for Addison School District 4. Kim, thanks for coming in to talk with us today. You folks, pretty much in the middle of the school year, had to really change course. I mean, things were going along just fine. Spring break was just coming up in maybe about a month or so, and we have this all come about. And this isn't just like a weather emergency where you know you're going to be back in a day or two. This is a huge impact now to your operations. So tell us about the challenges of losing that classroom time that the faculty at District 4, and then I'm going to ask the same question of Scott for the District 88 faculty, but to Kim, what are some of the challenges that students have had to face, and how are they and their parents and your faculty at District 4 going about addressing the challenges of really not being in their normal place of learning? How is learning continuing? How is teaching continuing at District 4?
Thanks, Don. So obviously, first I want to say hello to all of our students and families. Your teachers and principals miss you very much. It has been a very big challenge for our school district. We ended school pretty abruptly, and so we had to retool and come up with a plan for continuity of learning for our students. One thing that we know is remote learning is not an effective form of instruction as compared to as effective as traditional classroom instruction is. And so our team has had to become really creative in how we're providing learning opportunities for students. And so we've created a number of activities for students to complete both online and offline that allow them to practice and reinforce skills that they're familiar with, but also to begin to learn new concepts. We are concerned about whether or not the school closure will be extended and what that means for our students, and so we have been working very closely with our teachers and principals and staff to come up with a long-term plan for activities for our students that we would intend to roll out after the spring break. That would include opportunities for learning online and then also offering offline packets for some of our families who do not have internet access. One of the biggest barriers that we're facing is the lack of internet access within the community. We have several families who are not able to access materials online. And then of course we're also relying on our parents to be co-teachers for instruction. And while this is great, it also can be very challenging for families with multiple children or who are working in or outside of the home during this time.
Yeah, you know, you're right on the money with that, Kim, because parents are a child's first teacher. And they get to a point where whether they're in first grade or they're in 8th grade, that some of the dynamics and the curriculum can be a little daunting even for the parents sometimes. So we're a little bit beyond those early formative years of basic learning. We're into some pretty heavier material right now, and I think your words of greeting to the students and to their families as well is reassuring to know that you, John Langton, and your entire team there are really working to try to make this as smooth a transition as possible. Talk about the technology for a moment, Kim, if you would please. And it seemed like District 4 really was ahead of maybe many other communities when it comes to that technology. I know about Chromebooks. I've seen Chromebooks rolled out in some of your schools. I remember little Nathaniel, who's probably taller than Nathaniel right now, and a lot of your other students talking about their enthusiasm of the Chromebooks. Is that the tool that students are using to stay connected now with their teachers and their peers at the District 4 schools?
Yes, so our students utilize Chromebooks to access activities online in 1st through 8th grade. Our kindergartners have Chromebooks, but they remain at school, and so they do not have access to them currently during the school closure. So for our students in 1st through 8th grade who are able to, we are providing learning activities online to use with their Chromebooks, and this can be very successful for many of our students. For our students who do not have Chromebooks in kindergarten, or for families who do not have internet access, we are providing offline activities. And so we've created work packets in 2-week increments that can be picked up at Indian Trail, Door 1, between 10 a.m. and noon every day, Monday through Friday, for families who require them. And this will continue if the school closure is extended. This will continue through as long as it needs to be.
However long it takes, right? Very good. Thanks
you.
very much, Kim. Dr. Helton, let's talk about the same issue from the perspective of our high school students in the community, in both communities, really, both at the Addison Trail and Willowbrook communities. How are students accessing their teachers? How are they accessing their classroom materials, their learning? And you have a huge spectrum of students that you're working with right now, many of whom are going to be college-bound students, and the pressure can be on under more traditional circumstances. I can't imagine what you and the faculty are going through right now to make those students who are bound and determined to get to college make sure that they hit that, but I'm sure you have a good plan in place. So can you talk about some of the challenges that your students and families would be facing right now, and the workaround for a lot of these problems?
Sure. Thanks, Don, for this opportunity. And like Mayor Veenstra talked about earlier, this thing is fluid. And, you know, think about it, the governor announced on Friday, March 13th, that we'd be going into, a remote learning, kind of a closure of schools, and do whatever you have to do, Dr. Losi said, to continue the education of our students by whatever means necessary. So we turned Monday, March 16th into an institute day instead of a regular school day, so our teachers could pack about 5 weeks worth of lessons for 4,000 students using e-learning concepts. It's interesting, working with the ROE, working with the ISBE, the Illinois State Board of Education. We had to really get things going quickly, because on the 17th of March, everything was starting. And I have to give a shout out to our students and families, because out of 4,000 students, so far 3,860 students have engaged with us online in our e-learning process. We're the 140 students who did not or have not engaged Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday last week, or this Tuesday, are being called personally by our counselors, deans, social workers, and psychologists right now as I speak, just to see, is it a matter of connectivity? Because we have free Sprint hotspots, and our buildings are open so the students can come in and pick those up. If it's a matter of your Chromebooks at school, we will assist you in retrieving that also. While you have that, the challenge at the high school level is, as you mentioned, the diversity of the learner. We've got students with IEPs who have various needs. At some points in time, we need parental assistance. Some of our students are using assistive devices to help them if they're visually impaired or if they're hard of hearing. So we've got those challenges. On the other end, we've got the students who are taking advanced placement classes. And College Board had to modify their test and get rid of their testing schedule, and now they will allow the kids to test from home. Daily, our teachers are using a device called Google Classroom, which is a learning management system that connects our students to live teachers throughout the U.S. teaching advanced placement courses, so our students can review, stay current, and move ahead. And then their test was modified, so it's all free response questions. So we're waiting. Yesterday, 2 days ago, Dr. Ayala, the state superintendent of schools, actually submitted a waiver to the Department of Education asking the federal government to waive all the Every Student Succeeds Act requirements for testing this spring. Sure. If that happens, our request is that as a state, we just use whatever status we were in this year, or from 18-19 for the 19-20 school year, and give kids waivers to take the SAT in the fall and then move forward. So a lot of different things. And I have to give a shout out to John Langton from District 4, Tony Palmisano from District 45, and Jake Chung from District 48. We communicate daily, as Mayor Veenstra has meetings daily with the intergovernmental agencies. The superintendents of our community are communicating. We're talking about how we're delivering instruction, what we're doing differently. All of us, I know in our district and everybody that I've talked to, we're doing IEP meetings for our special needs students. We're doing reevaluations electronically. We're doing 504 meetings. We're doing attendance meetings. We're doing interventions right now. So each and every student, not only are we pushing them academically, but we have the social emotional aspect. And I'd like to thank our parents and students for staying the course. Because, you know, a lot of the media was pushing out Act of God days means you do nothing. Act of God days actually means that we get state funding for not being in. That's it. We need to continue learning because you will slide, you will regress if you don't engage. So I'm just, you know, if I could, you know, beg our students and parents, take this seriously, continue working. Our teachers have worked hard to prep lessons and continue to engage.
Yeah, you know, it'll be fascinating really for both Kim and Scott, and maybe you've already thought about this. Once this is over, what will come of it? It will really be fascinating to find out what new practices might be put in place through remote learning, through things like, as you mentioned, the College Board changing the plan for how they go about giving the advanced placement tests, and on and on and on. Not to say that things that are happening right now are going to become permanent. This is an emergency situation, but how these things will be looked at for perhaps future growth, because it's a new way of doing things. We've done that, and the mayor will attest to it. We've done these things at the Village. Maybe communicate a little more efficiently through conference calling rather than convening a meeting and pulling people off of a project or work to come in to sit through a half-hour meeting. So it really will be fascinating to see what happens post this crisis, to see how things like education, we'll talk about public safety at a later time, and so on, how these things will be changing. So. Yeah, really something. So, Kim, let's talk about families and coping. Your families of the thousands of students at District 4 want their kids to make sure that everything's going to be okay, that they will get back in school someday. As you said, they miss their teachers, the kids miss each other, they miss each other having their socialization time, playing, and so on. The teachers and the faculty probably miss those kids just as much. I know my wife's in education, and she misses her kids too. What's being done to try to bridge that gap of coping skills and making sure that everybody feels pretty good about what things are going on right now when it comes to just families feeling reassured that everything's going to be okay as far as their kids learning at such a young age before they move on over to Addison Trail High School?
So we know that this is really hard for a lot of our students and families. We know that they enjoy coming to school, they enjoy the structure of school and being with their friends and their teachers every day. And so our principals and teachers have done a terrific job reaching out to families personally to check in on them and make connections with them, similar to what Dr. Helton talked about. We've had teachers calling, emailing, utilizing the learning management system, hosting Google Meet and Zoom meetings with families so they can get that face-to-face interaction, and it's been really well received. I've seen pictures and videos, and the kids have just really enjoyed that opportunity to connect with their teacher. Our social workers have been working really hard to ensure that all of our students have the supports and resources they need as well. And so if there are families in need, they can visit our website, www.asd4.org, and click on the social emotional resources button. And it will take them to a list of resources that are available. But there's also a form that families can fill out if there's something that they need. And our social workers are monitoring that form on a regular basis and contacting families personally to help them to connect with supports and resources within the community.
This is also a great time to put a word out for the Addison Early Childhood Collaborative. If you have kids who are even younger than going into kindergarten, and parents need to connect with those early childhood services because they want to make sure their kids are ready for school, just a word to connect through District 4. Find out more about the Addison Early Childhood Collaborative. Talk to Mary Haney there, and she'll get you connected with the resources that would be available as well. Dr. Helton, there's one very important service that is provided by our school systems, and you have been able, through the miracle of a lot of volunteers and some great corporate citizens within our community, to keep going, and that has been the meal program, food that is available to students who are able to access it at the schools. And how in the world are we ever going to keep that going? and in just a matter of a very short time, you were able to mobilize resources and volunteers and your school bus company and your food service provider and to get this out. And it is fluid, it has been changing. So I wonder if you'll take some time now, take a few minutes and walk our viewers through the meals program that is available to the children, not just high school students, but also younger here in the community, and tell us how that's been working and what are some of the parameters that people need to follow for that program.
Well, thanks for this opportunity, Don. This thing started as the governor talked about closing schools on the 13th. John Langton from 4, Tony Palmisano from 45, Jake Chung from District 48, and all of our team members started to work together over weekends. It was like the first weekend we were ready to get going. By about Tuesday morning, the 17th, we were ready to deliver our first meals. We used just looking at the locations in Addison, the Addison 4 elementary schools were ideal locations for us to serve kids from 18 and under, free and reduced or not free and reduced. It's a matter of just really taking care of our community. Chartwell's, Arbor, the two food services for our districts, they stepped up incredibly. Our Cottage Hill Operating Company, they ran routes for special ed students who received door-to-door service where we're delivering meals door-to-door. We didn't know what to expect. After the first week, last Friday, we totaled the distribution of 10,407 meals to our community through this incredible collaborative. It may be one of the best as far as service to percentage of students within the county. But then again, like I said, all the superintendents and our teams are all talking, every day, and we're looking at this, and we've consolidated some sites because we were wrong in some areas. We used some non-schools to take the edge off the schools, but it seems like the community really would rather show up to the schools to get the food. Sure. So that's where we're staying. But if you go to our website, www.dupage88.net/coronavirus, weekly we will put the new distribution model. This week we decided in 88 to just do 4 days worth of meals yesterday, and then on Friday both districts 4, 88 and 45 and 48, we will be distributing meals for the entire spring break. Now we anticipate moving back to school, as the governor said, the week of the 6th, or April 7th would be the date. Right now, indicators are that we will not be back at that time, and we're looking for the governor's statement. Again, this is day to day, this is fluid, but I would anticipate we're not going to be back that week. So we are prepared to continuously deliver meals as long as this goes on, because taking care of our students and connecting with our students is our #1 priority in districts 4, 45, 48, and 88. And the army of volunteers, the people who are working from Arbor, Chartwell's, Cottage Hill, the employees from District 4, District 88, 45, and 48, who are just coming out and sitting at tables and handing our residents food, is really appreciated.
And let's just give a word. I think you hit it just perfectly there. But for some people who wonder the why of this, why go through all of this, why make this food distribution available? It's something that students may have had in their school day were we in the more traditional setting, but this is an extension of the whole learning process. And we know that society today, not everyone is going to be created here at the same level. This gives everyone the opportunity to have a good day, a good start with their day. So to things like what Kim and Scott and yourself, what you have been mentioning about the importance of continuing learning, that even goes to their physical well-being, and that's where the food program comes in.
Yeah, I mean, and we all talk about this. One of the pieces when we have to cancel a school day is that thought. We all talk about how are we going to get food to our kids, because we know if we cancel school, if we're on break, certain students won't eat. And I know we're breaking tradition by feeding our students during spring break, but these are unusual times. This is an unprecedented time, and we need to step up. And with our daily calls in Addison, we even worked it out with the Addison Food Pantry, where we will move food over there if we have extra food during the day, so nothing goes to waste. And it's probably one of the greatest collaborations in the county, or maybe in the state right now.
we'll be lining up an interview probably into the second week of our series with Addison's Township Supervisor Dennis Rebeletti, and we'll find out how the food pantry and your working with Addison Township Food Pantry has been going as well. Thanks for mentioning that. Before we go to Mayor Veenstra for some final comments, Kim, anything that you'd like to add? Information, outreach? Is there anything that's been causing the phones to ring off the hook over at the district offices that you just want to make sure parents are aware of, or make sure that parents and kids are working together during this time?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I want to thank the entire community. I think this has been a terrific collaborative effort for all of our families and all of our citizens in Addison. I'm very grateful to be working in this village. Our parents, we want you to know that we are here to help you and support you. And even more important than accessing learning activities, if there are other supports or resources that you need, we want you to contact us. Our classroom teachers, social workers, building principals, or district administrators are just a phone call or email away. So please reach out for any of your needs so that we can continue to help you through this hard time.
Thanks very much, Kim. And to Dr. Helton, the same question. Is there anything that you would like to close and leave our viewers with right now before we move along to Mayor Veenstra for a final comment? You and Kim have had just a whole lot of work going on in the last couple of weeks, and you still continue, but yet we're grateful for the time that you took to come in and talk to our viewers today.
Well, I'd like to remind our students that this is a chance by state executive order for you to actually improve your grades, because the state order says you cannot negatively impact student grades during this time, but the state order says nothing about you going ahead and working with your teachers and moving forward and handing things in maybe that you missed. So this is a chance to improve your grade, and our goal would be that no student fails. And in the face of adversity, we all stand together and we really get better as a community.
So you're saying a lot of honor roll students are sitting out there right now, right?
I'd love it to be 100%. 100%.
Wouldn't that be great? Kim Losey from Addison School District 4, Scott Helton, DuPage High School District 88. Thank you both very much for coming in. We wish you a lot of luck in all the work that you're doing. Mayor Veenstra, I think as you look and you listen to our discussion now, you must have a great deal of pride to see that the schools are working in concert, not only together, but also at the community level as you brought them together through not only your daily phone calls, but really this should be nothing of any surprise. This is the type of thing that happens all the time. We're just seeing it maybe in a more vivid, global setting, and yet we see this type of communication go on 365 days a year. Wouldn't you agree?
No, definitely. Adversity brings out the best in people. We always talk about the Addison advantage. We talk about intergovernmental cooperation, but when something like this happens, it's visible, it's tangible, and I can't be prouder of the other agencies in our community. The dedication that the schools have for the kids of our community is remarkable. And to see what they're doing and the efforts that are put out to keep them safe and keep them on the right track, I just can't say enough about that. And that's true of all of our taxing bodies. And I'm very proud of the work they're doing. It's all about our residents. It's all about keeping our people safe and informed. So we will continue to have our meetings. We'll continue to work toward making Addison the safest community in DuPage County. And any questions, any concerns that our residents have, please bring them forward. We will be more than happy to address those. It's going to get better. It's definitely, we're in a hard position right now as a country, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to make sure we all get there.
Thank you very much, Mayor Veenstra. Thanks for our panel for being with us today. How do you stay connected and make sure that you and your family are safe during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic? A number of things, some of which we've already talked about today. Check out the Village of Addison's official website, which is addisonadvantage.org. You'll find the new COVID-19 section with all sorts of resources and important information at a community level for you there. Our Facebook page is Village of Addison. Our Twitter feed is @AddisonVillage. Please sign up for the Code Red notification system so you can stay informed on official information from the Village of Addison and our partner agencies. And as Mayor Veenstra mentioned, download the new Addison Connected mobile app so that you are able to stay in tune with what's going on in the community right from your smartphone or other mobile device. On our next interview series, we will be discussing public safety in the Village of Addison, both with the Addison Police Department and Addison Fire Protection District representatives. But for now, our discussion today with representatives of local school systems during the COVID-19 pandemic and Addison's response here in our community. Our thanks again to our panelists, and thanks to you for joining us as well. I'm Don Weiss. Thank you for joining us.